Thank you. Today is Wednesday, June 12, 2024. The Conservation Commission meeting will come to order. First order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the agenda are the approval of minutes for May 8th and May 22nd. Is anybody prepared to move those minutes?
Yes, I've read them, and I move that we accept the drafts for May 8th and May 22nd minutes as drafted.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next item is certificates of compliance. There's a request to continue NACC number 240.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1811, 1600 Osgood Street, Route 125, pump station and sewer extension. North Andover DPW. Mr. Hockman, just give Amy 1 minute.
So this order issued in June of 2021 governed construction of a new sewer pump station at the northern tip of 1600 Osgood. The pump station received stormwater management BMPs. Part of that project also included construction of new sewer lines, a combination of both gravity and force, along a 2.7-mile stretch of Osgood Street from Bradford Street to Sutton Street, just west of Oak Clark Road. Project is complete. Erosion controls are removed. Site is stable. Built in compliance per engineer's certificate. Special condition number 50 of the order requires that inspection and maintenance report be provided 1 year after the stormwater BMPs go online. The system has only been online since December 12th of 2023, so not a full year yet. But otherwise, this project's in compliance, and I recommend issuing a full and complete certificate with ongoing conditions as prescribed.
Thank you. Let me go to questions from the commission first, Greg, if you don't mind. Mr. Lynch?
I have no questions. I'm all set. No questions.
Also,
Just, will we waive, are we being asked to waive condition number 50 by giving them the certificate?
no, it's going to be an ongoing condition, and so we'll expect that in 6 months.
No other questions?
I mean, there's no language in the order that prohibits them from coming for a certificate before that year, so.
Okay.
Any abutters present that want to be heard? There are none. You may not have to say anything, sir.
Thank you.
The chair's ready for a motion.
I move that we issue the certificate of compliance for 242-1811, 1600 Osgood Street pump station.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. You're all set.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Small projects, NACC number 326, 56 Abbott Street, Capo Bianco.
Alrighty. This project is an in-kind replacement of an existing deck. The existing deck is just outside the 50-foot no-build zone to a bordering vegetated wetland on site. Replacing an existing deck with new composite deck and stairs within the same footprint. If footings are to be replaced, excavation will be handled by hand. And we recommend that the project is found to qualify as Category B, and that we schedule a pre-construction meeting with the homeowner and the contractor to ensure that Scope of work is understood and schedule a post-construction meeting as well. All construction materials and machinery to be stored or stockpiled more than 50 feet from the wetland. And if ground disturbance for footing installation is required, which we would get notification from the building inspector as well, that we would require straw wattle be installed. But I think even with, I don't think there's much, the site is so flat, I don't think there's any real risk of erosion, even if they had to do the footings. So that's my recommendation.
Joe?
Me either, I'm good. What's the size of the deck? I don't think it's specified in any of the info. Because I think there's a limitation on in-kind.
Oh, yeah, it's well below the 300, but actually the small project allows for replacement of existing lawfully located decks regardless of size.
Oh, regardless.
So
Yeah.
No-
if it was
no
a
other
new deck,
questions.
we'd have to look at the square.
Thanks.
Questions?
Okay, we're ready for actually two motions. One that to determine if we find this a small project, and two, if we approve it as proposed.
I move that we find it as a subsection B with the preconditions and other conditions that Amy referenced.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Small project number 327406 Chestnut Street.
Alrighty,
Hi, guys.
all right.
Give us a minute, we'll do this, okay?
I'll just give an intro and you can handle any questions I can't answer. The project consists of demolishing the existing brick steps at the front entrance of the house and replacing them with a 12 by 12 deck and associated steps. Ground disturbance includes installation of 4 deck post footings. All materials will be stockpiled in the lawn adjacent to the deck. There will be repairs made to an existing concrete and brick stairs leading from the front entrance to the driveway in order to bring the stairs up to code. And that includes removing and replacing existing brick overlay and repairing the concrete base as needed, but no major ground disturbance is anticipated for this work. The wetland resource is Mosquito Brook, which is located across the street. And the work is about 175 feet from the stream at its closest point. In between the work and the stream is a well-established vegetated area with evergreens. And then on the street, on the opposite side of the street, there is existing erosion controls that DPW had installed. They're still there as of last week. But honestly, there's such little risk of erosion that we don't recommend installing any erosion controls. So we recommend finding this project to qualify as Category A, which is decks under 300 square feet, and L for the brick step work. Conditions would just require a pre-construction meeting with the contractor to go over the scope of work, and then a post-construction meeting to verify compliance. That's it.
Joe Lynch.
We're realistic. You call this a cut too much. Get more money, but it's a good job and I think it complies. I'm all
Keep
set.
that in mind.
I'm all set.
John?
No questions.
Sean is not here. Any abutters? Non-answer? We're ready for a motion.
I move that we consider NACC small project number 327 under category L and category A of the bylaw, and that we, and I also move that we approve this as drafted.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? There will be none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. You're approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll prepare the permit for you guys
Let 'em stay.
probably
Let 'em- I'm
next
sorry.
week.
Okay.
And then we'll have a pre-construction with your contractor.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Jamie, will you put Sean down as abstaining? Thank you. All right, we're over here. Abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, 242-1889, 492 Sutton Street, NAAS Development LLC, continued from May 22nd. That requests to continue to 6/26.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1892, 100 Willow Street, Gourmet Specialty Foods.
Alrighty. All right, so this in red is for 100 Willow Street. It is bordering vegetated wetland, upstream of Mosquito Brook, so there's no riverfront, no natural heritage, and no vernal pools on site. I reviewed the wetland line with the wetland consultant and the engineer. We did do some flag adjustments, and those flag adjustments are shown on the plan, so the old flags are grayed out, and the dark delineation line is the line that holds at this point. The site received a letter of map amendment for the 100-year floodplain, taking it outside of any shaded areas. So we don't have any floodplain on that, and we do have the LOMA in your packets. Let's see. Evan with DeRosa Environmental is here this evening if you have any questions, but I don't really have any outstanding concerns about this one. I did draft a decision for tonight if you guys close.
Not sure whether I'm gonna show my age, my lack of memory, or both. Didn't this property come before us recently for a permit from another perspective for order
Yeah.
conditions?
It was actually an RDA for parking lot repaving and a little bit of storm, not like riprap at an outlet where
And
the
snow
the low
storage.
spot.
In snow,
It-
in snow storage in the corner.
Yeah, but that was under an RDA.
So what does this do to that process that's already in place?
I think not much,
Does the line change?
not significantly, but I think they're gearing up to do something. I think the business is busting, and they're
So
looking
the
to probably.
the RDA allowed activity to be done,
Yes.
and was there a need or was there a mechanism to close it out when that activity was completed?
We don't usually do that. I mean, I've
That's
looked
what-
at.
That's exactly my
I've
question.
looked
So
at
is
the-
there any open issues with
No.
this?
Oh, no.
That was just something that did happen and done
Yep.
properly.
Yep,
I'm all set.
yep.
My question is, with the new line, with the new ANRAD, if a project were to come forward tomorrow, would this be the superseding line that would be adhered to?
Yes.
Okay. then
Yeah,
I'm all
this
set.
would control
This would be the one, okay.
Did you review the line?
in the field, yes, and I
Yeah.
made adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah, I walked it with Evan and Will.
No other questions?
Chris?
All set, thanks.
Any abutters here that want to be heard? Okay, step forward, please, and have a seat at the table or stand, whatever you want. We just need you in front of a microphone.
My name is Melinda Perone. I live at 65 Meadowwood Road. So we are the neighborhood that's just west of this development. And we have quite a few people that, all around the area that walk these roads. This property was purchased, I believe, in 2019 and converted to the present business. As you walk through the front of the business, there are 2 or 3 tractor trailers waiting each morning to get into the business. So the question I have is this work going to improve that? Because on the other side, we've got Stop and Shop, which is also bringing tractor trailers in. So there's 4 or 5 tractor trailers pulling in and out of this area, and the wetlands are right behind. So we've got idling tractor trailers there, 4 or 5 at a time. And the next question is, if after 4 or 5 years that they've purchased this building and they've got 3 tractor trailers waiting each day to, to bring food in, is there going to be an expansion sometime soon? Because there's a lot of activity for that size building. That's my
So
question.
what's in front of us tonight is an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. Simply put, it's the wetland line. And it's been confirmed in the field by Amy, and it's in front of us now for approval. This doesn't mean that there's going to be work, it doesn't mean there's not going to be work, which was why I asked if there was work, would this be the superseding line, and the answer I got was yes. So if they come in tomorrow with a proposal to do new work, this will be the line that would govern the area, the wetland line. Beyond that, we have no idea what their plans are, and they're not obligated to tell us.
I just wanted to make that point.
No, I appreciate your comment, I don't have a good answer for you yet.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other abutters want to be heard? There being none? Where am I? We have a motion?
Motion.
You
I
could motion to
move-
close the hearing, and then you could deliberate on the decision with the rest of the decisions. That's probably what you can do.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you. You all set?
Thanks, Daphne.
Should I stick around for the decision? No? Okay.
No,
All right.
it's just approving the line.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to notices of intent. First one off the gate is 242-1876, 492 Sutton Street, Lawrence Airport, continued from 5/22.
Oh, you guys are here.
Randy, how are you?
Good.
Let Amy read in first, and then,
So at the last hearing, we concluded our review with the final comment letter from our third-party peer review. Commission had no further requests for information at that time. We needed to continue because there was an extra week between meetings, and I didn't have a draft decision ready, so we had to continue. We have a draft decision ready tonight. I didn't expect any other questions tonight, but you never know, so.
did you receive any new information?
No.
In between the meetings?
No.
Okay. Joe?
I was satisfied at the last meeting.
Yeah, I think I'm done talking about this one.
Okay.
No questions from me.
All set, thank you.
No questions here?
I guess.
There are no questions from the commission, and there are no new items from the administrator. Are there any abutters that wish to be heard or comment on this project? No abutters answer.
I actually,
You have a letter?
Dom reminded me that the existing friendly enforcement order that is still in place that allows for the coir logs along the stream and in the BBW, I would say that we should we need to keep that in place because we know the work on this NOI is not going to start until next year.
Okay.
I might make a small suggestion of maybe amending that enforcement order, and we can take it, we can take it out, we don't have to take it out, but I just wanted to get it out before I forgot, that we would amend it to maybe increase the storm events to a 2-inch event in 24 hours for monitoring. Just a thought.
So is that something, do we want to handle now, or do we want to do that when we deliberate on the order of conditions?
I just don't want to forget about
What's it
it.
say now? How often do we
I guess
do
now it's-
inspections?
the
It's
answer.
1 inch.
Yeah.
It's a 1-inch storm event with,
Is it 1 inch or once per week?
no, it's 1 inch.
So,
It's- It's based on storm events.
Okay.
It's a pretty big event.
I mean, even a thunderstorm can produce 2 inches of rain in 15 minutes, so within 24 hours, I think it's a realistic relaxation, because it's still going to be requiring an inspection when that kind of rain comes. And I think it's realistic that you're going to see those on a pretty regular basis through the summer in the form of thunderstorms.
So but I didn't want to forget.
Okay, so let
So
me go.
the enforcement
To bring
order's
up.
still in place?
Yes,
Typically, we order them to come in and file an NOI, but we left that in place. So we could do it both. The enforcement order will remain in place even if we close,
Yeah.
which we're about to consider.
Yep.
And we could also, from this very moment, add that condition as an ongoing condition on the enforcement order, but everything else has been complied with, has been met. So I think we can do those almost simultaneously as we go around.
great.
I'm all set.
So you want to handle the enforcement order now? Because we're going to be deliberating on the order later.
Well, I think we need to do the amend the enforcement order in open session.
Yeah, I think maybe I'd say close this and then.
And then
give
go
the
right back
enforcement
around
order.
again. That's what I think too.
Yeah,
Close
so
this
I'll,
and go back to the enforcement order?
yeah, right afterwards.
All right,
I'll-
so-
I'll move to close, 242-1876, 492 Sutton Street.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. That's closed, but we're still open on the enforcement order.
So I'll move to amend the enforcement order to change the rainfall event from 1 inches to 2 inches.
Second.
Does that do it?
yep.
Motion and a second.
But for discussion, because I don't know if everybody's on board.
So a motion and a second to amend the enforcement order.
On discussion, so.
Yep.
Everyone's
Yep.
got good faith here. So we've issued an order of conditions. Nothing says that they can start, they have to start the project immediately. They can start construction when they feel like it. They can choose to do nothing, file for certificate of compliance that says, I've done nothing. So how long does the enforcement order stays in place? And
Well, I was
should
actually,
it stay in place so long as, right up until the day they start up pre-construction?
that's what I was.
I think we want to
going
amend that as well, as that the duration of the enforcement order remain in place up until the commencement of the actions under the 242-1876
Commencement or completion?
commencement. But we really want them to start, once they start, they're gonna finish, I think. I think they're gonna
Well, they're
start.
gonna be
yeah.
working right in that stretch of stream that they're monitoring right now,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so motion and a,
With an amendment, for the amendment.
any further discussion?
Yes. I do not support changing the inspection from 1 inch to 2 inch. We already know we have problems in the stream, and I want it to be monitored more often. 2 inch event is a pretty large event. So I'm not in favor of the amendment.
Okay.
Would you be in favor of like 2 inches or once per week, whatever is more frequent?
That's going to be once a
That's
week.
It is, yeah.
A 2 inch event
That's
happens
important.
maybe a couple times a year.
So we have a motion to amend.
Yep.
Are you offering to further amend?
No, it's currently at 1 inch.
What's on the table now is to increase from 1 to 2, and on discussion, you're saying you're not
I
supporting
do
that.
not support changing it from 1 to 2 inch. I have no problems with 1 inch. One's perfectly reasonable.
Okay. So any other discussion?
No, but either way, it's gonna be extended until pre-construction.
Well, we're gonna vote on the enforcement order as amended.
Well, yep.
With your amendment. Brad is simply saying he doesn't support it.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I wanted to have an opportunity to speak.
I just wanna make sure I get it right, so Jamie understands what I'm doing. Any further discussion? All
Let's,
those-
yeah, I'm gonna just continue the discussion with Brad, because I know I initially said that, thunderstorms nowadays are easily producing 2 inches on they really aren't. But, they can, but you're right. What we're getting now are neighborhood impacts downstream under regular big storm events. And I think if we were to relax the enforcement order, it would be contrary to some of the debate we participated in hearing both sides of the story.
Yeah.
The airport side as well as the abutter side. I think that to be consistent, we should probably not relax that 1 inch as well. We should just be consistent and leave it in place.
So,
I'm in opposition to amending the first part of the storm.
I
event.
withdraw my motion, Mr. Chair.
all right, we're gonna start again.
Yep.
All right, so I move that
We have an
offer-
enforcement order that needs action.
I move that we offer an amendment that the enforcement order remain in place up until the commencement of construction activities authorized in 242-1876.
6.
Motion
Second.
and a second now. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that appears unanimous.
Thank you.
We good over there? Okay. All right, and we're closed on the airport right now, right? They're closed and they have an enforcement order that's been extended.
Decision later on tonight.
So you can, your project is closed, your enforcement order has been extended, and you can sit and wait while we deliberate the order of conditions. Just no testimony can be offered.
We have no input, no back and forth, you can't ask us questions.
Not during a deliberation. When it's deliberating, it's on the four corners of the submittal. No discussion can be, because it's closed.
A general question, then, there are about 4 conditions that don't seem applicable to the project. They were actually highlighted, and I think Amy has made some notes in those conditions that they might be on the table for not making the final order. We'll have no input at all, so our only venue would be to, after the fact, after the order is issued, bring them up
Ask
as
for a
hopefully a minor
modification.
mod.
Come back and request a modification, and you'd have to present evidence at that time as to the basis of the request.
All right. Are there any other avenues?
Do we need to reopen this? Did we close it prematurely?
If you request that we reopen that order, that notice, we will, it sounds like we have interest in talking about it. We'll reopen it, and you can present a reasonable, you can take a reasonable amount of time to present. So
You've had an opportunity to review the order.
I have, and I have my arguments prepared.
Okay, so I need a motion, I have a motion to reopen.
Second.
Motion and second to reopen Lawrence Airport. Okay, so whichever one of you wants to go first, you're most welcome, Mr. Christensen, if you want to be the leadoff hitter.
If you gentlemen don't mind. Starting with draft special condition number 44. It is a standard wetland flagging, reissuance, remarking of the boundaries. It does take considerable effort, and the first day of construction on this project, we will succinctly remove every wetland marker on that property. All of them are within our construction limits. So this general condition, which is typically for mandating a setback for maybe house-related construction, this one we're actually in the stream on day one. Cutting the vegetation is the first thing that we're doing, and all the wetland markers are within that cutting boundary. I was hoping either 44 to be eliminated or relaxed in some fashion, since all those wetland markers will be eradicated on day one of construction. It would seem that effort to put those out there and then have the contractor on day one remove them all is just a waste of a lot of people's time.
Okay, let me ask Amy. I understand your request, but at the end of the project, when you request a certificate of compliance, I believe the wetland markers are going to have to be in place.
That was one of the other ones I wanted to discuss. That's item
So-
52.
Are we talking about wetland markers or wetland flagging?
So this is the wetland flagging, the pre-construction inspection
All right.
for the wetland
Right,
flagging.
so I said, wetland flagging shall be checked prior to start of construction and shall be reestablished where missing, except in wetland impact areas, all wetland flagging shall remain visible and enumerated. So, I mean,
I would
Get
say
it, but-
that differently, I think that you're getting there, but I think to say it a little differently is, except within, actually, the limit of work area shall be designated, and all flags, all wetland flags outside of the limits of work shall be reestablished. Meaning everything that's inside is within the limits of work.
That would work,
Does that work? Yeah.
because we're not clearing vegetation.
All right, let's see, let me go down the table. Any thoughts on that?
No, it's
No?
okay.
Chris?
That makes sense to me.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of head nods over here on that one. So
Great.
what's your next request?
52. We've faced this at Lawrence Airport before. Obviously, we've had over a dozen orders of conditions with this Conservation Commission. We have areas on the airport that have been maintained as turf forever, since the construction of the airport. And in some particular sites, including this one, It is necessary to maintain it as turf since any woody vegetation quickly becomes an airspace obstruction. So we right now have a limited turf that goes right up to the wetland boundary on both sides of this stream, and we were planning on continuing that mowing regime as it exists today in the future. Having the metal T-posts that we typically have those wetland markers on, all of a sudden we have created ourselves, for the airport maintenance team, a headache that, because these 25-foot buffer zones would be right in the middle of an area where we
That's
have a
mowed.
40-foot wing mower that's going through there
I gotcha.
almost every 2 weeks during the summertime. I'm hoping that we can come to some kind of resolution on avoiding that maintenance headache that this creates.
How would you delineate so that your guy that's running the tractor doesn't cut the wrong area?
So right
He's gonna
now,
cut
we're
the area.
gonna be
He's
creating a
gonna cut the
wetland
20.
boundary next to that stream.
Okay.
So it'll be a new one with our side slopes, our wetland vegetation plantings. What I would propose, since we want to protect those anyway from the mowers, is that boundary, those markers are going to be right there at
At
our
the edge of wetland.
at our edge of wetland, and forgive us the 25 and 50-foot zones in this particular
You still,
case.
you want to be, the airport, through your work in the prior applications, still have a vegetation management plan.
Yeah, so the
So if
BMP was
these-
one where we would have had thousands of markers out there because there's so
So
much wetland.
if that line you're talking about could just also be shown with a vegetation management plan, because that's the plan that you guys are gonna use for maintenance.
It is.
It'll survive this order of conditions
But I
much
do agree
cleaner.
with the markers, for first 2 years, the guy in the mower is gonna have a very difficult time seeing what's wetland and what's not. So I was just hoping a modification to the markers of the wetland boundary and not at those buffer.
So you want them at the edge of the wetland?
Yes.
Let me see how people are thinking here.
I'd say fair for,
Yeah.
only because it's the airport. We're already in restricted space. The only people that's in there are doing it's nobody else other than the maintenance people.
Is this a FAA Part 7 area that we're talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, definitely.
This is
Yeah.
Part 7, okay, so
And the
Part
gate.
7 makes it a little more, easier for them to request it.
What spacing is going to work for the wetland markers at the wetland line?
I think we've done 30 feet in the past. I don't know if, just to throw it out there, but every 30 feet along that.
What's practical for your mowers? 30,
Well,
50,
along the
50?
wetland, the
Visual.
mower will stay above them. That's visual enough for that mower to stay away from that. So if 30 feet works for the commission, I would propose that.
Works for me.
Marissa?
Yeah, I've seen 25 feet in the past, so 30's close enough.
Okay, Sean?
No questions.
And so that's condition 52,
Yep.
and so the amendment will read how? Markers are
We'll be at the wetland edge
wetland edge
at 30-foot intervals.
at 30 foot in, okay. All right, motion?
Well, any more?
He's got two more.
Oh, I'm sorry, you got another one? Go ahead.
58.
58.
So 58 was a leftover condition from our runway 5N project where we had 2 construction seasons and we had to overwinter our huge exposed runway safety area and the stormwater area over winter, and it was going to be subject to storms, et cetera, et cetera. That is not going to be the case in this particular sense. So that turbidity's condition, number
testing.
58, was for that winter
Winter
overwintering
overwintering,
turbidity monitoring for discharge from that large basin. We will not have anything like that on this particular project, and I'm hoping that there will not be any need for turbidity monitoring for this project.
Yeah, I
What's
mean,
the total disturbance area?
How many square feet was that? It was under half an acre.
Okay.
So we had to, halfway through the project, winter conditions came, so we built a detention basin in the middle of our partially completed runway safety area. It was a couple acres worth of exposed dirt. We had coagulants and things like that we had staked around our outlet. We had one outlet to get rid of that water. So the turbidity monitoring really came into play on that project. We just don't have anything similar to that on this particular project. It will be a one season, one and done. So I'm hoping to
I mean-
eliminate the turbidity need for turbidity monitoring for this project.
Let us talk about it.
Okay, I was gonna suggest, if it gets to this, just strike that condition completely and renumber thereafter.
Agreed.
No issues there.
Marissa, what do you think about that?
So is there any erosion control monitoring when the enforcement order expires and the notice of intent comes
Yes.
into play?
They have one draft condition that requires
Ouch.
3 months and then 1 year. Correct. So-
Yeah, as Randy was suggesting, is that
Sorry about that.
given the instability of the slope in that prior project, turbidity was a concern, so
Yes.
we wanted to make sure it stayed below the, was it 50 NTUs? Whatever the number was. On a proactive basis, right now, even if there is a problem, we can always go out there under enforcement. Except we're not authorized to be behind the gate.
And our best erosion control is we're separating the water from the work in this particular project. All that water is going to be in a pipe.
Yeah,
Bypass the project.
yeah, it's gonna be totally bypassed.
Any downstream impacts that could be, where do we terminate with this?
Merrimack.
The Merrimack, see,
Yeah,
therein lies the rub, I think, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's, I don't want to lose sight of the fact, as Randy was clear to point out, is that given the concern for stability of the, instability of the slope because of the time of season,
Yeah.
we took a proactive condition that says you will monitor turbidity. Therefore, you're not migrating any silts through the water column downstream. That concern doesn't exist with anything on this project. So by being efficient, trying to cull from a prior order conditions, this just got caught up and we should take it out.
Okay. Brad? Marissa?
All set.
Sean?
Do you need a motion?
So what I have, let me just sum up, so we have a,
We got one more.
We don't need an emotion
there are three,
We need to close.
to close, only to close it.
so you're modifying, we're modifying condition 44 and 52, and we're striking completely condition 58. Do I understand it
Did say four.
correctly?
That's only three, right?
Modification to 44, modification to 52.
44, 52.
44 and 52 are being modified,
And, yeah, and striking
and 58 is being struck.
So Randy said four, that's only three. Did we,
Oh, that was it. No, that was it. Those were
I
the
thought-
Okay.
44, 52, and 53.
And during deliberation, I was gonna suggest to add quarter log upstream in the BBW, maintenance and
So-
monitoring of those
So
periodically.
let us close this now.
Okay.
And then during deliberation.
do that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can take care of everything
I see.
else.
All right, great.
So I need a motion to close.
So moved.
second, closing the hearing.
Any abutters? None answer, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous, it's closed.
Thanks for the effort, everyone. It's been a over a year, so it is pre-construction next year.
Okay. See you then.
Sorry? One of these legacy projects. Francisco's a good friend, so.
Cisco's not gonna let you go, get away that easy.
I think I'll be here for construction.
He's gonna hold on to you, I think.
I mean, since some people are still on the table, is there an opportunity to address this 1-inch monitoring? Is there an opportunity for that? Because I feel,
You talking about the enforcement
Yeah.
order now?
Yes, enforcement.
so, and Commissioner, I understand that you think that we know that this stream, as is, has monitored 1-inch rain in 24 hours, time and time again. 44 reports, at 540 cents, 543 cents a report, $543 a report, tell us that the stream, as is, can monitor 1 inch. We're looking for a little bit of relief so that we don't have to send an engineer there at all hours of the night during the start of their rain. And so if we project that a 2-inch rainstorm is coming, then it gives us a little bit more to then monitor what the stream, the potential of the stream, challenge, that is what we as an airport are looking for, and that was the reason for this request.
So you're asking for relief from the number of times that a report has to be generated? Is
Yes.
that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
I let,
It's not the number of
No,
times, but it
it's
equates to
visit.
that. Given the frequency of getting a 1-inch storm is obviously greater than a 2-inch storm.
yeah,
It's more than double, but the reality is every time they come out, it costs them something to do a report.
Understood.
And so the question that we're trying to balance is by monitoring performance during rain events, at what level provides the commission with enough information to hold their head high with what we've debated with the applicant and with the abutters for concerns for impacts. That's what's on the table.
So let us just take a statement
Thank you.
from.
Hi, I'm Debbie Mathias from 27 Charles Street. With the 1-inch storm, we are getting water down the hill, and we would continue to request that it be monitored. Not after the storm, but during the storm. There are many times that I'm there in the middle of the night. Your fire department has been there pumping this building out in the middle of the night with a 1-inch storm. 2 inches would just create even more issues for us. So if they can continue to monitor, as we monitor a 1-inch storm, we would greatly appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Just,
you.
did you just identify yourself one more time for the?
Debbie Mathias,
Okay.
27 Charles Street.
Got you. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Let
thank
us
you.
discuss. We'll talk
Thank
about this. All right, so request from
I
the abutter.
understand what's on the table, and I think it doesn't change my argument on the reconsideration when Brad raised it the last time around. I think I'm satisfied with the 1-inch being
Okay.
appropriate.
And the reporting.
Yeah, at the same frequency. I wouldn't want to relax that yet. And again, I'm confident that we're seeing the project moving forward. When the project moves forward, that's going to change. That enforcement order, as soon as that project starts, that enforcement order gets extinguished.
Okay. Right.
Have nothing else to add.
Mercy.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
I trust my fellow commissioner, I trust everybody. That's one of my problems. Everybody says, Sean, you're so trustworthy.
Cisco?
But I do trust everybody, and I do appreciate the abutters' comments.
It doesn't sound like there's an appetite to amend that at this time. I'm reading the tea leaves and I'm not seeing it.
I wanted to ask just one question. We've done, like Francisco said, 46 monitoring reports over the past couple of years, and I'm just curious, do you guys read those? Or who reviews them? Because-
They go
Yeah,
into the
I
file,
read
they get read.
Because the only storm that we've had an issue with on the stream that I've gone out myself a lot to do the monitoring, and the only storm that's overtopped the core logs is the 6.5-inch storm that occurred last August.
Yeah.
All the other storms, we haven't had any issue. The water that 27 Charles Street gets is not from the stream, it's from the neighborhood and 4th Street.
I appreciate your
it's
observations,
documented.
I do, but I don't see an appetite here right now to amend,
Okay.
make that amendment.
2-inch 24-hour storm is not going to be a big deal. A 2-inch 6-hour storm is going to be a big deal. So I think moving it to 2 inches is too much.
And I don't hear anybody wanting to relax the reporting requirements at this time. Perhaps it could be something you could come back on in a future time if progress is made on how things operate. I'd recommend not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Okay. So we have, the airport's closed, and we've modified and amended the EO. What's just left is the order of conditions for that. Okay, thank you. 242-1884, 49 Court Street, continued from 5/22/24.
Okay, at the last hearing, the commission requested some orphan notes to be removed from the plan once the retaining wall was removed. That was done, we have that on this plan. We had the extra week in between meetings, so we needed time to draft an order. I have it ready for you. You guys didn't have any other questions or comments aside from those plan notations, so I think you're ready to close.
So you have an order of conditions we could review, we could do tonight?
It's ready. Yeah,
Okay.
it's in your packets.
See if anybody has any. I don't see the
So
applicant.
they were drafting errors, and
Yeah,
I
right.
hate to say it, I don't have my notes from the last meeting, but I remember them up being in the
It was,
patio area
yeah.
and basically continuity of contour lines that
Breeding,
weren't
yes,
blending. They seem to be
exactly.
fixed.
Yes.
But you reviewed it from that perspective?
Yes. Yep. Now
We
what?
never get everything.
What?
We never get everything, do we?
What's that?
There's just a little piece of the park there.
Oh, yes, so,
I'm not gonna make a deal with that.
Just read.
I think Lou asked him to change.
There's just a little extraneous slide,
Yeah,
but
I
it's,
Okay.
just watched it before this meeting,
Yeah.
so that's why I remember it, and, yeah, he did request that they change that.
okay. Is this something that we can handle at the order of conditions level?
Oh,
With the condition?
whatchamacallit?
The level spreader
Level
facing
spreader.
toward the neighbor's yard.
I have that as a condition
Perfect.
already written into the order.
So I would suggest, unless there's something really glaring here, I would suggest I would recommend we close and
Yeah.
close an issue.
Do you guys want to vote on
Are
the
there-
waiver now or during
Are there abutters here
deliberation?
for this project?
No.
Any abutters for 49 Court Street that want to be heard at all? Okay, nobody's answering, just for the record.
Right.
What do you recommend, Amy?
Well, there is a waiver that, that needs to be voted. I don't know whether you want to vote it now or when you're deliberating
I
in the
think
order.
that should all be at the order of condition level, at the deliberation level.
waiver has to happen before we close the hearing. It has to happen
Yeah, it
now,
has to
before we
happen
close the
now.
hearing.
All right, I stand corrected. Then before we start talking about it, Amy, what level of waiver are they looking for or is required to help the project?
It's 45 square feet of the patio in the 50-foot no-build zone.
45 square feet
Yes,
of the patio?
yep.
It's the corner right here.
Where are we looking?
Corner right there.
Right there. I got it. Okay, so we're at the discussion stage on this one. 45 square feet is requested to be excluded. I will not vote unless there's a tie, but I will comment, I don't see that 45 square feet as a big deal.
Coming from my perspective, after all of the alterations that happened in this yard and the fact that that area was previously lawn area,
It was.
and we're getting some protection back in squaring off that patio, I think they have no other place to recreate. If you
Right.
give them that flat area outside of their back door, they're gonna use it. If you start
And they're- yeah.
start whittling that down, it's just gonna spread it to the backyard. So I think in this instance, I'd waive it,
Okay,
from my perspective.
Brad?
Yeah, I think I
Mayday.
I'd be in favor of the waiver also.
Marissa?
I agree.
Sean?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Move that we grant the waiver of approximately 45 square feet of patio within the 50-foot no-build zone on the 49 Court Street, 242-1884.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There is none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So one opposed.
Okay,
The motion passes.
all right. So now we need to close the hearing.
Motion,
Second.
motion and a second to close. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. It is closed. I feel like we should be having a party right
I
now.
think so too.
Where's got the champagne?
It's only been open in front of us for 2 years. All right. 2421886 Stevens Street, right-of-way culvert, North Andover DPW, continued from 522.
All righty, so this was, you had no further questions at the last hearing and simply needed to wait for a draft order, so I think you guys are ready to close and issue. And I do have a draft ready for tonight.
Anybody feel moved?
There are no abutters here, I will move to close.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. It's closed. 2421885 416 Abbott Street, continued from 522.
All righty, great.
we're gonna let Amy bring us up to speed on it, and then the commissioners will weigh in.
All right, so this notice of intent, as the commission will recall, is in response to violations that included patio construction and foundation and roof drainage alterations in the buffer zone. At the last hearing, the commission gave some direction as to what might be more amenable for a waiver to allow for some of the patio to remain. Reduce the square footage of the patio within the 50-foot no-build zone to accommodate only that needed to navigate around the pool. The new plan has reduced the patio by 505 square feet, which will become lawn with permeable paver stepping stones, with only 217 square feet of patio being left in the 50. Commission asked for an increased square footage of restoration to encompass the entirety of the 25-foot no disturb zone, and move the proposed fence outside the 25 to respect that edge. The new plan provides 2,135 square feet of restoration replanting enhancement, which is basically a 10-to-1 ratio, and the fence will be moved to respect the 25 foot. Let's see, so this is, wait a minute, this is the new plan. All right, so I'm projecting the new plan. That has dark shading for what patio is in the 50. The green area that is patio that will turn into lawn with some stepping stones. The new fence will respect the 25-foot no disturb zone. Aside from historic lawn on the east side, but the rest of, and the entirety on this side of the 25-foot will revert from lawn and ornamental, some invasive, to native plantings. Andrew Tebow with Goddard Consulting is with us this evening, and the homeowner as well.
So just so I understand, there's a waiver request?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna start with the commission and just be patient with us here.
Of course. All of the elements we asked for and discussed in the prior meeting are shown here, so that's great. Amy used the phrase revert, but you mean it's actually a planting plan. It's going to be restoration.
Yes.
Not gonna just let it, fence,
No,
let it go natural.
It's a
Yeah, it's not gonna revert, it's
it's
just
a
gonna.
targeted planting
Okay.
area.
Then I'm all set.
With 2 years,
Monitor with reports to you guys to make sure it's coming according to the plan as well.
Yeah, so I'm crystal clear, this is exactly what we asked for. Also.
Okay, Brad? Good? Mayday.
Yeah, I'm all set too. The patio looks a little narrow in the one spot, but if the homeowner's good with that, so are we.
Listen.
What type of pervious stepping pavers? I don't know if this, I can't remember if this was discussed at previous hearings.
It was not at previous meetings. This was kind of a new idea we came with. So typically in these situations, what I end up doing is asking for a condition that the agent approves them prior to installation. What we envision here is more of a stepping stone. So there would be lawn in between here. This wouldn't be the kind of, sometimes you would see the ones where there's like actual just gaps in between that's mostly paved. The idea here is lawn with pavers to allow for full infiltration, but a little bit of maintenance back there. So more of the stepping stone within lawn variety. And then, but we would give a design to Amy and to the commission prior to installation to make sure that it meets what you guys would be approving with this in mind.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly where the point I was getting at, because some of them basically function as impervious surfaces. So
Some people push
as
the
long
limits
as-
of pervious
yeah.
versus impervious. This goal is to maintain it as a lawn area with pervious stepping pavers, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, as long as that's a condition.
And the area that's gonna happen is the area shown in green, that's a rectangle?
Yep, yeah, so currently that's all patio, the goal, and it was lawn previously, moved to patio, now it's to revert back to lawn with a little bit of the stepping stones to allow for, to get back over there, yep.
And the fence is going 25 feet around, correct?
Yep, except for the east side.
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
So I'm just gonna, your request for the waiver. 3 square feet of patio is within the 25-foot no disturb?
It was originally, that's to be removed now. That was what the
That's
original.
gonna be taken out?
Yep,
And the 722 square feet of patio within the 50?
reduced all the way down to 217.
I'm good, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
So I guess we should deal with the motion first,
Act on the waiver first.
the waiver first, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm gonna move that we grant the waiver that the, in accordance with, what we see it as figure 10. What does your record show?
10,
What's going to get filed with the registry?
figure 10.
Okay. So I move that we grant the waiver depicting disturbance and activities in accordance with figure 10.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One opposed. Okay, so the waiver is granted. The next motion would be to close an issue.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
yeah,
you
go
can do
ahead.
that, yep.
So moved.
Is it okay?
It's okay, just
Okay.
because we're back on
I
the
didn't want to
Every
miss
other-
anything here. Okay.
Move to close 242-1885.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any abutters that want to be heard? No abutters answer, no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. You're closed. You're all set.
Thank you guys very much for doing this.
So I'll draft a decision for next meeting. They'll vote on it, and then I'll issue that within 21 days of tonight. And then there's a whole bunch of pre-construction requirements that you have to meet, so. we can
We'll make it
put
happen. That
together.
sounds good.
Okay.
Great. Thank
All
you,
right.
Amy.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Thanks very much.
Okay, good night. 242-1887, 156-172 Chestnut Street, Cherry Properties LLC. This is continued from May 22nd. Mr. Sullivan.
Let me see, I just want to make sure I have the right plan out. No, it's not. It's a 6 something, right? June plan? Yep. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. I'll give a blurb and you can fill in the blanks. At the last hearing, the commission requested the following additional information. That a second row of erosion controls be noted on the plan to protect the 25 after demolition of the building is accomplished. Permanent barrier needs to be shown along the 25-foot no disturb zone to be installed at the earliest time frame during the project where site logistics allow for it. The plan does show a post and rail fence along the 25. An O&M plan needed to be prepared for the rain garden and driveway stone drip edge. Let's see. The commission asked for research on the preliminary FEMA maps to ensure that the new updated flood maps do not include this area or this property. That has been confirmed that it doesn't. And then that the area proposed for the rain garden needs to be cordoned off from construction equipment and protected from soil compaction. And the revised plan does show a new construction access that does not go over that rain garden footprint. Let's see, so the plan up, Jack Sullivan, the project engineer, is here with us this evening if you have any questions, or Jack, if
Hold on one second,
I
Jack.
missed anything.
Let me see what's going on here. Joe?
We talked about the physical barrier, and I see the post and rail poles, I see the location of that. The location is appropriate. We typically have asked for something a little more robust than post and rail. I think we've seen it because the rails can be pulled out easily enough to get past them, but what are our thoughts on this particular location? It's more than what was ever there. And it probably is, it's probably the type of property where you're not gonna see a lot of excursions into the area. So I think maybe post and rail, in the rare occurrence where it's appropriate, might be this type of site. That's all I
Yeah,
have.
it's a duplex.
Go ahead.
It's gonna be a duplex.
I'm all set, protecting my rain garden from construction traffic, I'm good.
Mayday.
Yeah, my only thought really on these was you complied with everything we asked for. The post and rail fence is the only thing that typically isn't encouraged at this board. Something, I mean, you know, what are we trying to do? We're trying to prevent incursion into the 25-foot zone, and incursion meaning foot traffic and dumping of yard waste and things like that. Post and rail fence doesn't seem to do that too well in our experience. I suppose we could condition a chain link fence or something a little bit more robust as a suggestion. But that's really all I had. I think it really complies.
Rissa?
I don't have any comments.
Sean?
Other than what's already been uttered, I don't have anything to add.
So, Jack, I'm not crazy about post and rail either.
Okay.
However, is there a way to supplement the post and rail?
You're talking along the 25-foot?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe is there a way to put some planting in addition to?
I don't think it's supposed to be all along, it's just those rain gardens, right?
No,
No, it's-
I show
it's-
post and rail at the edge of the rain garden, but I also added one at the 25-foot line.
Right.
It's just the
Yeah,
plant's
it's
a little
right-
bit
it's
busy,
right
so
along
it's
here.
tough to see.
Actually, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention
Yeah,
that.
so I did
The
do
You
the
have-
post and
rail
rail at the 20.
in
We
front of
could
the-
beef that up if you'd rather see, I know Sean likes the stone walls.
Well, we all do.
If you'd rather see that stone wall put in at the 25-foot
Well-
line, we could do that.
That would be great.
So I would agree that that's an excellent suggestion. Going back to the rain garden, if there was a way, and maybe you can help me out here, if there's a way to supplement that with some plantings
I have plantings. I did a whole
along the
planting
posted
plan.
rail?
Oh, along the
Oh,
post and
along
rail.
the post
Well,
and
we
rail?
have the drip trench.
Yeah.
So you have the post and rail fence, then there's a 3-foot wide
Drip
drip
trench.
trench, and then the rain garden with all the plantings.
There's no way to put some nice native hawthorn over there to keep people out?
So remember, the rain garden's not a wetland feature, the rain garden's a stormwater feature.
Right.
And the post and rail fence is a vertical element that's gonna prevent snow from being put in.
That's the purpose.
And I think it's an appropriate use
Yeah.
of preventing snow from getting in there.
Yeah, we don't want snow dumped
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, maintain too.
So to plant in that drip trench would be tough
No,
out.
no.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Just thought I'd ask.
okay.
Any abutters to this project that want to be heard? So no abutters answer. Amy, what are you requesting?
If you guys have no other questions or concerns, you can close, because I have a draft decision ready.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
motion and a second, any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous, you're closed.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Two 1891 70 French Farm Road. They're requesting to continue to 6/26.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 2421893, 597 Foster Street, Fonzie.
Oh, thank you.
So, we're gonna open this project. I just want to give the disclosure that it has not, this site has not been inspected by staff, and the wetland delineation line has not been affirmed by staff. They filed timely, it just didn't get done. So, we're obligated to open it, it is open. I would recommend that you question accordingly, and remember that we're not in the consulting business. And with that, Amy can
All right.
lead off.
Okay. All right. Is this existing conditions? All righty. The site at 597 Foster Street has been subject to a previous order of conditions and a certificate of compliance in the fall of 2020 when the septic system was upgraded and the driveway was relocated, front steps and walkway was installed, and a pervious paver patio at the rear of the house was installed. That order is closed out. The new NOI proposes demolition of a portion of the existing house, driveway, deck, stairs, walkway, and retaining wall in order to construct a new garage, addition, associate utilities, deck, patio, rain garden, and buffer zone plantings. A waiver request has been submitted, and much of the new work is within pre-existing footprint of structures or paved driveway. And as the chairman indicated, I haven't had time to get out to the site to inspect the wetland, but we plan on making that happen next week. So wetland consultant Maureen Harold is with you this evening, and Andrew Fonzie, the applicant, is here.
Joe?
I think the crux of the discussion starts with the waiver discussion. Until we have the line, we have nothing to discuss. So unfortunately, I think we could probably entertain a brief presentation if the chairman allows. Just of, I mean, the summary was pretty good. Maybe it differs from what the applicant has in mind, but something ever so brief to let us know what they're proposing. But I think the discussion on waivers until the line's established is a moot point. We have nothing to really say on that.
It's up to you if you want to give us a brief presentation, just with that understanding that we really can't make any decision of any kind.
Absolutely. I didn't expect a decision from the commission tonight anyhow. I just wanted to initially introduce the project and get some feedback from the commission because there is some waivers that we are requesting. So obviously, the structure itself, all the structures are proposed within existing impervious area. This design was purposely done to minimize impact to the buffer zone in and of itself. We are proposing a deck over an existing paver patio. We are proposing to increase the no disturbance zone for some mitigation on site, planting some trees, putting in a seed mix. So we are trying to provide some sort of mitigation. Obviously, the house itself, as you can see from the 50-foot no build, is completely within the 50-foot no build. This house predates the Wetland Protection Act, predates the local bylaws and regulations as well. We're proposing a wildlife seed mix, so that strip that you see that's highlighted in green on the plan, that's what we're proposing to restore, come back. It's existing right now is lawn area. So we will be improving the overall buffer zone itself for the project. And unfortunately, there was a disconnect. I didn't get an email from Amy, but certainly I will walk the wetland line with Amy and we'll do it.
Anything? Brad?
It looks like the pervious paver limit is going kind of outside of the existing limit of where stuff is right now.
So that's correct. So it's 89 square feet that we are requesting. That in and of itself will be a pervious paver. There's a chart for the impacts down at the lower corner of the plan that shows the square footage. But we are providing 800 square feet of mitigation along that strip if the commission finds that appropriate for the 89 square feet of proposed pervious area.
The biggest issue I see is the grading going into the 25-foot no disturb.
So, understandably so, just so the commission is aware, that is lawn area right now. So it's already disturbed. We're not proposing to cut any trees for this. And as mitigation, we are proposing a rain garden. to infiltrate for the garage area.
Okay. Pavers and the grading in the 25 is going to be a lift. That's all I got.
Sure.
That, the new pavers that are proposed, what's there now is a keystone topping that is above a 3/4 stone.
The bigger issue is just, we're going out, I'm okay with pretty much everything you're doing within the current footprint you got out there, but once we start going out of that, is when the discussion here is gonna get a little bit longer.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess that's where I'm confused, because I'm looking at the table of square footages and comparing previously disturbed area to newly disturbed area. The resource area between 25 and 50 feet lists 2,322 square feet across the board, so that it implies that there's no change in disturbance or development within the 25 to 50 foot resource zone, but but it sounds like we're talking that there is additional square footage. So which is it?
So I think the square footage is for the impervious area, but you are correct. We are proposing some grading that was just mentioned. In the 844 square feet, that is the strip of area that we're proposing to plant and come back with
I
the
got
wetlands
that.
unit.
Yeah, okay.
I can certainly adjust those numbers.
I was more focusing on the 25 to 50 foot zone. The new pervious paver area, is that more square footage or the same?
It's going over existing pea stone that's
So-
behind it.
Okay, so you're taking credit for that as previously disturbed?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Just want to understand.
Sure.
Thanks. I'm all set.
Just a quick question, was there any, like, alternatives to the rain garden explorer that would be outside the 50-foot no build? And, I understand that there's limited space, but there's the driveway area or other areas, so.
So if you look at the plan where the 50-foot no build goes,
Yep.
it essentially goes through a corner of the dwelling, through the entire proposed garage area that we'd like to do, and then down towards the roadway. We have the septic system on the right, the leach field. Maybe between the driveway and the walkway for the house, we could maybe do some infiltration.
Would you guys rather a rain garden or like a Coltech system that would go under the driveway? What would you like better? Would you rather see a rain garden or would you rather the drainage go underground?
I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but
Support either one.
yeah, I mean, groundwater's really high. I think the further away you move from the wetland areas, the better it might function. And a rain garden typically is a little bit deeper, but, I'd leave that up to you to
Look at it.
explore.
I believe it has to be 50 feet from a leach field, but let me check that and then see what we can work with.
Okay.
So, you what you're saying, the alternatives now, we would like to see a Coltech, maybe something at least analyzed. So we can decide.
There is a water line under the driveway that hugs the wall. That would be my only concern.
That would be a great thing to include in the
Yeah.
alternatives analysis. Which we don't want that.
I don't have, Bruce, anything else?
No, awesome.
I don't have any comments other than echo what Brad said, and let's stay within the current footprint.
I do want to just restate that the conversation we just had is under the presumption that the wetland line is in fact not going to move. It's still, until we know where that is,
Yep.
we're going to revisit these same conversations next meeting.
Correct.
I just have one question. Do you know where your water table is?
Yeah.
Around the wetland elevation.
We talked about that, debated it.
It's a high water
when they
table out
came
there.
into the
Right.
septic system a
Okay.
couple years ago. So,
So
the new
you-
members are asking legitimate questions. It's the obvious geometric form in the wetland. We debated, we all remember debating that during the septic system project, but maybe a quick description of why that's staying in place, and we acted on that previously during the septic system, correct?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did
it's a mounded
extensive research on that. So this was part of an original barn that was part of the house, and it was remnants from a barn. The commission asked me to look at aerial photographs, so I researched aerial photographs. Lou specifically did not like it. But when we went through the permitting for the septic, the commission decided that it was there long enough and it was allowed to stay at that time.
But it can't be built on, it can't be used
Right.
for a foundation for anything.
I remember we talked about it.
Yep.
I remember
Yeah, yeah,
discussing
you-
this, yeah.
I just wondered what it was. I didn't know it had such a celebrated history here.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a lot of history, and it's whittled down from what it once was.
Okay. What's that?
I think you can probably just fish off of it if you want to.
Move that we continue to the next meeting.
So I want to make sure that the applicant has the preliminary FEMA maps, so that needs to get incorporated, yeah,
Got it.
into the plan. Because it does look like it's increased onto the site, so.
I'll second Joe's motion.
All right,
Is there any abutters?
I'm gonna ask right now.
Oh, okay.
I have a motion and a second to continue. Are there any abutters here that want to be heard on this project? You don't even have to talk, you can just wave your hand and let us know you're here. We don't have anybody answering.
Okay.
Okay. So what are we, 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
Well, we
2
need to,
weeks.
vote. We gotta vote. We have a first, you have a
Yeah,
motion
no,
and a second.
So it's a motion to continue. I want to see if we're continuing 2 weeks or 4.
Gotcha.
What do we,
My motion was to the next meeting.
next meeting, okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Two 242-1894, 1101 Turnpike, Mass Electric.
Request for continuance to the June 26th meeting.
So moved.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Continued. Okay, we're at enforcement orders, violations. 242-1884, 49 Court Street, which we closed on tonight. Do we
Did we close?
leave the enforcement order in place?
Oh, yeah, 49 Court.
We closed on it. We have an order of condition.
Right.
We're gonna deliberate.
It's a matter of the fines we have to finally address. But it's our pleasure with the fines. 'Cause that was the only thing left hanging on the enforcement order, right?
Yeah.
Everything else they were compliant with.
Okay, so I was thinking that, and I'm only gonna vote if there's a tie, but I was thinking we waive the fines.
So we have, again, without going into executive session, which I don't think so, I mean, it certainly would be appropriate, but we have, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a matter pending before the magistrate regarding the fines, correct?
Well, that's an appeal, the applicant appealed to the magistrate.
So what we had is, we had required, you know, like we typically do within timeframes.
Right.
When he didn't do what, when they didn't do what they said they were going to do.
Right.
We put those fines in place.
Yes.
And we had them continue to accumulate until such time as they filed. So it's that accumulation of fines that I think that we can either let the court decide, or we can simply just roll over and let it go, because this has gone a long way, and in the end, we got an order of conditions on a project that we think is gonna work, and got what we needed to get out of it.
If you're suggesting we take no action at this time,
I'm just saying what we've discussed in prior meetings. The only thing left open on the enforcement order is the fines.
so we have options. We can take no action at this time and let it ride and see what the magistrate does, or we can propose any number of alternatives. We have some keen legal minds here. Let's see.
So the total fines are $2,800, and the hearing is on the 20th of June.
Save everybody the effort, just waive the fines. I mean, I'm usually a stickler, and this was a really difficult applicant, and I think if anybody deserves to find, this guy does, but I think we're not gonna, if we leave it to the magistrate, I just assume do the right thing.
Just bear in mind, and I don't want this to bear on anything, but if we leave the fines to the magistrate, Amy and town council have to attend the meeting, they have to attend the hearing. So, we'd be,
I'd say waiver.
okay, so that's one. Brad?
I'm for waiving them. They spent plenty of money to get everything fixed, and they got everything fixed. Let's not waste lawyers' time and Amy's time.
Mayday.
Yeah, our issue was always the pace of this project, and I know there were some mitigating factors. I think the imposition of fines was appropriate. It did get us what we wanted at a slower pace than we'd prefer, but it got us to a good place. I'm also in favor of waiving the fines.
Marissa?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
I could go, I don't care one way or the other. Ideally, I wish we could keep the fines in place until they request a certificate of compliance, but I don't think we really can do that.
No, magistrate's gonna decide
Yep,
before that
beforehand.
anyway.
So I don't care either way.
So,
I move that we waive the fines on the enforcement.
motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that is unanimous. The fines are waived on 49 Court Street.
We can probably move to rescind the enforcement order since the order is gonna take its place and that no work can start till all the pre-construction requirements are in place anyway.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous as well. Anything else you need on that one right now until we deliberate?
Nope,
Are you good with that? Sid?
I'm good with that. I'm fine, yep.
All right. We're making real progress. We're getting rid of that one. 416 Abbott Street, continued from May 22nd.
So, what did we do? Did we close, well, we closed the hearing. I'll draft a decision for next meeting. So perhaps we vote on that, we continue the EO until we vote on a decision, because then the order would take its place.
So we don't have to take any action at
No
all
action,
for the
we could
EO
just
to continue?
Continue it to the 26th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. All right, now moving down the list here. Two that want to continue. 85 Colonial Avenue wants to continue to 626.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that's,
Colonial, the condominium association? The
No,
neighbor?
it's the house that had the rear deck and another
Got it,
deck. and-
got it, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
49 Equestrian Drive also wants to continue to 626.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 129 Forest Street, continued from 5/22.
Alrighty. So basically, at the last, meeting, property owners attended the meeting, and in our research, we discovered there was an outstanding order of conditions that hasn't been closed out. Since that time, they have contacted that project engineer, have engaged them. Is that correct? And they are on schedule to get the survey done, to get an as-built plan together, and, assemble certificate of compliance request. I would say that the as-built plan is going to inform us about the unauthorized patio and the extent to which that's in the 50 and I don't know if the 25, but perhaps we want to wait to see that plan to figure out if there's any part of it that can be permitted or that would be compliant with our 50-foot no-build zone. I don't know if the commission wants to give a deadline for the plan to keep things moving, but the homeowners are here this evening with us, so.
So you're just waiting for an as-built plan right now? Okay. Is there any,
It's a great strategy, it's a great process. I think we need to put a time limit in place when we can expect, we would expect to see it come to us. I don't think it's appropriate to put a fine in place at this point, but let's put a deadline in place where we.
Okay.
Do you know when the ASBIL plan will be done?
He gave me a timeline of 2 to 3 weeks
2
to
to 3
complete it, but he said he couldn't help us, but we went back to the person who did the original drawings.
So we said August 1st, the first meeting in August, that's reasonable
I
to you
think that
folks?
would be fine. And he's been very responsive so far, but if something falls through,
I would
we'll be
simply
talking
say,
to
I would
someone.
agree to wait till the first meeting in August for receipt of the ASBIL plan.
First meeting in August?
Again, we'll go around, and that's my opinion.
Well, okay.
Brad?
I heard 3 weeks, and engineer timelines, first week in August, or first meeting in August, about right.
Mayday?
Is the as-built plan required by the enforcement order?
No.
That's the advantage here, is that they need it for other reasons, so that we're gonna get the survey, we're gonna get a discussion about where it's in compliance and not in compliance. Everybody's gonna get a little something by getting this plan. It makes complete sense to wait for it, as opposed to, guessing and doing
So it
forensic work.
doesn't need to be? We don't need to modify the EO?
Well, you could, yeah, I mean, I think you could to put a deadline on delivery of the as-built. It doesn't require it
That's-
right now, but we could modify
we
it
could modify
to
it,
do
okay.
that, yes.
So the suggestion is August 1st?
First meeting in August.
First meeting in August is the suggestion so far.
Yeah, I think we require it and then put that deadline on the requirement.
Okay, Russ?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean, getting a surveyor out there in the middle of summer, first meeting in August would be great. Everyone's
Sounds
busy
good to me,
right now.
Sounds like that, did you need that in the form of a motion, or is it?
Yes. Vote to
So
amend the
Mo-
vote to
motion.
amend the enforcement order.
Move that we amend the enforcement order to require that an ASBIL plan be prepared and that it be presented before the submission date for the first meeting in August.
First meeting in August.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
Great. Thanks for coming. So
Thank
I'll
you
give
for-
you another
thank you.
enforcement order with that new deadline. But thanks. And if Griffin needs to talk to me about anything, they can call me. Yeah, great. Thank you for coming.
242, 1273, 113 Bridges Lane, continued from May 22nd.
Hi, good evening.
Let me pull up.
Sure. Amy, do you want me to go?
Yeah,
Okay, so at the last conservation meeting, what we heard from the commission was get everything outside the 50-foot ephemeral pool, no disturbance zone. So that's what we've done. Everything right now is outside the 50-foot. In terms of restoring the 50-foot no disturbance zone, my report incorporates a microhabitat as well as a post and rail fence with North Andover medallions along the 50-foot. We are requesting the commission to possibly allow the fire pit and that stone walkway out to the fire pit that's currently on top of the leach field. Another item of discussion was historical lawn area. What's historical lawn area? So in my package, I provided 24 years of documented lawn area. Essentially, the lawn area was much more expansive than the area that we would like to keep. So we'd like to keep a fraction of the lawn area, and that is 476 square feet, or about 17.5% of the original lawn area. I hope that satisfies the commission's inquiry about historical lawn area. And I think one of the other items of discussion was the mulch. I had originally requested the commission on the wetland in front to allow the mulch on the easterly side slope. You know, obviously, if the commission wants us to remove that mulch, it'll be removed. I thought it was stabilizing the area well. the gravel path, that will be completely removed in the area planted. And I can open it up to the commission with any questions.
Amy, do you have anything you want us to know before we start to discuss?
No, I think the proposed lawn area is fair. And I think leaving the fire pit and the walkway on top, it's always been lawn and it's right out the back of the house, so I don't, there's no habitat there to worry about, so I just don't have any strong feelings about that.
Okay. Joseph?
It's in this position of the fire pit that it actually gives them a targeted location to recreate and stay right there rather than going out elsewhere. I think I voiced my concern with the mulch up in the front area at the last meeting. It hasn't changed. I don't think mulch provides any level of stabilization. I think it's a vegetative control. It's a method of making it look nice. But I think what you have is a greater tendency for it to migrate, to move, to inundate with water and to find its way downstream. So I don't see it. I don't see it in this type of a landform. This water feature, the stormwater feature, putting mulch in it, is going to provide any benefit. So I don't think it should be in there. And that's all I have. Everything else, I think we've previously discussed, and what they're showing is what we were looking for.
Okay.
Weren't we gonna go out there and see if we saw any evidence of mulch transport going out of that pipe?
In my visits, I really haven't.
Okay.
I didn't, excuse me, but I didn't go on the other side of the culvert, but I didn't see it in front of the culvert either. But, I mean, I think if we were to remove the mulch, you know, we want something that's gonna pop quick for vegetation or whatever seed mix. And then I think we wanna do an erosion control blanket over it. I mean, maybe we could just do regular, whatever pops fastest, and then leave it alone, and then it'll just populate with volunteer natives.
I agree with the fire
Do you
pit.
know what I mean?
I agree with whatever you think is gonna pop fastest.
And I think the mulch hinders that. I mean,
No.
it's used for vegetation control, to hold down things from popping.
So you might have to scrape some of that off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll need to get,
Yeah, I was, oh, I'm sorry.
You good?
Brad,
Brad's
No,
good.
I'm done. We're good.
I'm in favor of the fire pit and the walkway too. I think I don't consider it a permanent structure within the 75. And then also the lawn, the grass lawn. You had mentioned that earlier, Maureen, is the area that you're referring to the area that's immediately around that fire pit and then the pea stone walkway? Okay.
the white area.
I'm completely in favor of maintaining that as part of the design. I'm also against having the mulch in the front. I think, I mean, you showed us a picture last time, and the picture looked very stable, and it looked very benign, actually. But, you know what people do with mulch beds, they add more mulch, you know, and so
That's true.
it's not going to be a stable situation if left as a mulch bed.
We can
So,
certainly remove it. That's not a problem.
yeah, I think that's probably the best solution here. But otherwise, I commend you. Things have moved in the right direction very quickly, and let's keep the momentum going. That's all I have.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I think everyone kind of depicted what I thought.
It says change to post and rail fence on the plan. What was it, what's the change from?
Oh, originally I had proposed 4x4 pressure treated posts.
Oh,
And at the last hearing, the commission, I felt, wanted something a little bit more sturdy,
Yeah, permanent there.
Visual.
permanent.
Yep.
So that was the change.
And the historical lawn that you looked at going back 20 years, did it include more than what you're showing now?
Yes.
And how far back did it go before?
Almost back towards the wetland where the existing shed is, there
Yep.
was a smaller shed in that location.
Okay.
And, yeah, I would, within that area that Amy's highlighting, it went further back.
Gotcha. So everything on the northbound side of that post and rail fence is going to revert back to natural vegetation?
Yes.
Thanks, I don't have any other questions.
I had a quick question just about remove, relocate concrete and wood steps outside the 50. So I know the commission wanted out. Was there plans to put it somewhere else to get down to, like,
So we'll just.
just remove it?
We'll completely remove
Okay.
it off-site.
Okay, just want to make sure
Yep.
we're not surprised in its new location. If there was one. Because you could probably do it like here.
Okay, so Amy, we're on an enforcement order.
Okay,
What are
yep,
we
so-
looking for here?
If you guys are comfortable with what we're seeing, we could move to issue an amended order of conditions. And I wanted to just give you some maybe deadlines to work with, and you guys can amend them as you want. Requiring that the following items be completed by October 18th, 2024. Remove of all the unpermitted structures within the 25-foot no disturb zone, and the gravel and everything, and installation of the restoration plants, seed mixes, and microhabitat features. I don't know if that's enough time. That's not in stone. We need a deadline. That's all I'm trying to say.
Is there an open order of conditions on this property?
No,
There's not.
no. So this is,
So we want to issue an amended enforcement order?
You meant the enforcement, you said order conditions.
did I? Oh, I'm so sorry. I meant the enforcement order.
That's the reason why I
Amend the
asked.
enforcement
Reason why I
order.
asked.
I'm
Okay, all
sorry.
right, no problem,
I
no
meant
problem.
enforcement
So we want to amend the enforcement order?
Yes.
Okay, so,
To basically set a deadline for removal and restoration and replanting. I'd want to see the invoices for the plants and the seed mix to make sure that they're properly sourced and they're native. I'd like for the plantings, a planting installed to be overseen by the wetland consultant, and then require 2 years of monitoring by the consultant with annual reports. 75% overall survivorship of shrubs, 90% cover of the seed mix at the end of the 2 years, and if any dead or dying plants occur during the 2 years, that they be replaced. I mean, you guys may have other things to add, but I
does
just
anybody
thought
feel
that was
moved?
bare bones what we want in the
How
enforcement.
do you guys feel about the October timeframe?
I think that's plenty of time. In fact, my client is anxious to start this right away and to get this done, so my guess is this will be done sooner rather than later.
okay.
And we can come back to the commission. Regarding the fines, when is there an appropriate time to possibly discuss the fines and how possibly consider waiving the fines?
We'd like to see progress.
Okay.
And then, once we've seen some progress, I think people will be receptive to listening to a request,
Okay.
possibly. And that's,
Separates this from the prior one we just discussed, is that resulted in filing an NOI, and now we have an order of conditions in place for that, so that one we could discuss. This one, you really need to show action.
Okay.
But I think it's still our intention. I've seen, from what I've seen, nothing but good faith in moving this thing along. And I think you understand the mindset of where we come from.
Okay.
And the motivation works. You've done what we've needed. you just need to keep doing it.
So, we need to amend the EO
With the conditions that Amy just referenced, right?
with Amy's conditions.
And I don't want to give milestone conditions. I think really it's that, that by the second meeting in October,
Okay.
that the work be complete.
So the work as ordered, as proposed, be completed by then.
Okay. With conditions as listed.
So, see if anybody feels moved here yet.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
82 Liberty Street.
Thanks for coming. I'll just give a download and, all right. Okay, so, just as background, I received a notice of intent for this property a couple of weeks ago. The work proposed under the NOI involved a garage addition, a breezeway, and a septic system upgrade. I had to reject it due to incompleteness. Later on May 29th, this department was informed that there was work going on at the back of the building, back of the house. So that involved our field inspector to go out to the site. She met with the contractor, and the work involved was rehabbing the existing deck, tearing up the existing patio, and removing the hot tub or the spa. When they were doing the deck work, they realized that they needed to do new footings, so when they were excavating for the new footings, they cut the water line. So that required excavation to do a new water line connection. Unfortunately, all of this work was not permitted with the Conservation Commission or the Building Department, so both departments put a cease and desist on the property. I was able to get an enforcement order out that required installation of erosion controls. The applicant's contractor complied with that, and so knowing that they have other plans for the property, that some of this work could have been permitted under a permit for lawfully existing structures, that we possibly need to roll it all into one notice of intent. The homeowners are here this evening. In our research, we found from when the house was built, which was, oh gosh, a long time ago. Hold on.
87.
Okay, yeah, so we have an as-built plan of February of 1989. So that predated our wetland bylaw, well, our regulations. So, so that as-built plan showed the house and the deck and the wetland line. Upon further research, we found that the hot tub or spa, whatever you want to call it, was proposed at the back of the house and signed off on by the conservation administrator at that time in 1992. That plan did show an existing patio and a proposed spa that got signed off. So in terms of historic permitting, that kind of sums it up.
Okay, so we're ratifying, we're gonna ratify an enforcement order.
Yes.
And we're gonna clean up some of the instructions on the enforcement order.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a list of what you want.
Well, I guess continue cease and desist, make sure erosion controls are functioning. Prepare a notice of intent that encompasses all of the work and that addresses replacement of what was previously existing at the back of the house.
Is the site stable right now?
The dirt is still loose. We do have erosion controls in.
So erosion controls are
They're in.
containing any potential dirt movement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll triple check that to make sure because some of it was on top and then,
Okay.
I mean, things were right up against the wetland.
All right,
So-
let me start over here, we'll go
Okay.
on the table, but
Okay.
I wanted you to have your action list of what you wanted,
Yep.
and we'll move it from here. Just give us a second, we're gonna work our way down the table to see what we want the enforcement order to have on it for you, okay?
I think it's premature for me to
Yeah.
begin to even discuss, what was there, when, who signed off and who didn't sign off on things, when. And the reality is what we have is a construction activity not permitted by anybody, from what I hear, and it needs to be permanent. So cease and desist is appropriate, stabilize the site is appropriate, file a notice of intent, because it would have been required had they done it right,
Right.
is appropriate. And then all of that, the NOI, I would expect to be filed first meeting in August.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that and see how they can do.
Okay.
I'm sure they're anxious to get the project moving again, and they should be motivated to get the permits in place before they start the project again.
Got it.
So I know that the notice of intent, the garage needed ZBA approval. So they need to file concurrently with ZBA and when they submit the notice of intent, and I don't know what that timing looks like.
I'm offering that deadline. We need to put a line in the sand. That line can move as things evolve, but, I think we need to be updated with if they intend to build the project in their own mind, envision where they want it, submit that by that first meeting in August. If they go to zoning and zoning says, by the way, we disagree with your desire to build it too close to the property, and we're not gonna give you a variance, then that affects their filing with us, their NOI with us, and we will actually, so yeah, I think they have to put all their ducks in a row, and unfortunately, starting without any of that stuff in place, they kind of
Yeah.
herd the ducks
No,
up
I-
first
yeah,
before they're
I
in a
know.
row. They're all over the place.
Right. I guess for the homeowners, the point I'm trying to make is the notice of intent is not considered complete unless you have at least applied for all other local permits that you need, including ZBA. And probably Board of Health because, I'm sorry?
Can you clarify what ZBA is?
Oh, the zoning board of appeals, so from what I understand, the proposed garage didn't meet the setbacks. The zoning setbacks for side yard setbacks, so it was, a ZBA variance or relief was needed, so those permits have to be applied at least at the same time, in order for me to say, okay, you have a complete notice of intent. Yeah.
Who's the contractor?
So we put the permits in?
Sorry, could you
Just stand up.
Just 'cause no one
get to the
can-
microphone?
Yeah, no one can hear
How you
you.
doing? My name's Matt McGinnis. I own MJM Designs. We originally went up there to repair the deck. By doing that, we realized there were no footings. As we said, we did some digging. Nobody had mentioned that there was the well line running out back, or just slipped, their minds, whatever. So we ended up hitting it. Just in trying to get their water set back quickly. I should have stopped the job and went down to the things, permits. So we dug it, filled it all back in. We have pictures, everything's the way it should be. But we've put up the erosion controls. We put up the silt fences at the top and at the toe, dug in with the straw swaddle on both of them. That runs the length of the property. I'm actually going to do it up around the front too, just to help them out. but, you know, like I said, we went up there to do the deck. I didn't know there was anything else being done. So,
Those are all words to me.
Yep.
I asked the question almost rhetorically, but now I think it's a
No, I
valid
mean, I wanna,
question.
you know, I
You
wanna
have a
comply.
homeowner
Yep.
who may or may not know the process,
Mhm.
and they hire a professional.
Yep.
And the professional didn't act professionally. We're in a position because somebody started something without permits in place, and people should have known better. So
So, like I
what I
said,
want to make sure is that the work is stopped.
Yep.
The site is stable.
Mhm.
Permits are in place, and that nothing else happens between all that. And I almost regret asking who the contractor is,
Well,
because
I have
don't
the-
wanna
I have the
hear
permit
what
numbers
you're
for you
gonna
if you
do,
need 'em.
because you're not gonna do anything.
What permit do you think you have there?
I got the building permit filled out and all the other proper paperwork that we've been asked so far.
Permits from which department?
Building department?
So it's in the queue.
So you're,
They've submitted.
You got an
the-
application, he doesn't have a
Yeah,
permit.
right.
He doesn't have a permit.
so you're in the
I
process
have an
of,
application, yes, you're correct,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's
Like I said, originally, we just went up to repair some stuff. You know, how we ended up doing the whole deck is, when my guys went to dig the thing, they hit the deck with the bucket, you know, so we ended up knocking it over.
okay, but you
So-
didn't have a permit yet, you just applied.
Correct.
So you had no business doing anything.
You're right.
Okay, so, thank you for
Okay.
talking. Just have a seat for a minute, will you?
Yep, no problem.
Brad?
Just so I can fully understand the timeline, it sounds like they filed an NOI for some new work, but this other work is completely in
Separate.
relation. It's one of those oops, I didn't know I couldn't do that situations.
We're just separate.
I had
I didn't know, nothing to do with
I was more talking about the homeowners.
Yeah, so the project was in a rush that was probably going on for almost a year.
Yeah.
Because we knew that there were considerations with the wetland, and we worked with like Stanley and McNary,
Mhm.
and also with the company that built originally our house. So that's an Econ deck house, so we also contacted them as the architects, so they worked on potential designs. They recommended Stanley McNary, and so they kicked off the process, and it has taken a very long time because we needed a new plot plan, so we need to get all that assessment and everything was, so that all happened, and then in parallel, we also like got the deck, or wanted to get the deck replaced because the deck was out of wood, it became really old, it was like falling apart, it really looked bad, and so that's how the other process started.
Yeah, these are most things that can be done by right, if the appropriate process is followed.
All right, so let's give, let's just put together the enforcement order so we can move it along.
Sounds good.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Good. Mayday.
Yeah, I agree with Amy's point so far, cease and desist, erosion control, and get direction tonight, which we're giving you, so I'm all set.
Chris?
Yeah, just maintain those erosion controls, I would say, during,
Mm.
because it's
Yep.
gonna be probably a
We're- yeah,
lengthy process before
right.
work starts up again, so. that might
And
be a
and maybe
comment.
even throw some seed down, I think, because it's pretty, we're gonna need to seed it up and get something growing, because it's gonna be a little bit.
So can you just like summarize the next steps?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna give you
Yeah.
the next step. Sean?
No more questions or comments?
All right, so,
So, I was in order, if you said the order of conditions was in place, I missed that. Is there an open order of
No,
conditions there?
no, it was closed out
It
for the
was closed
construction of
out.
the house back in the 80s.
So that was only, yeah, all right, that's
It
all.
was just to
so
show
this
what
was
on
all
the house.
new work that commenced without any permits of
Yes.
any kind? That's what this
Right.
was, okay. So
And
we're
so-
just, so your enforcement order, you're right on, cease and desist,
Cease and desist,
maintain
original,
stability of the
get
site,
some seed it,
file a notice of
Get
intent
some
for the,
growth.
for the work,
and,
and delineate the wetland.
yeah, oh, yeah.
So-
Seacamp actually delineated the notice of intent that I rejected.
Okay, so is he working for them now?
Well, he did well.
So that's where I'm
he did
confused.
the-
There is an NOI already being worked on, but not
It was
submitted?
submitted, and I had to reject it because it was incomplete.
You rejected it, so
Yes.
there wasn't,
No, different work.
Same project,
okay, all
same,
right.
For the garage, a breezeway, and
When
septic
you-
system.
When you file your new notice of intent with Amy, it's gonna have to be accompanied by a wetland delineation by a wetland scientist.
That we did
The
that
plan-
already,
the
so we
plan
did
did
all
do-
of that.
had
Well, then
that.
you can get that same information put onto the plan, as
Yeah,
long
the
as.
plan
Is
had,
the delineation correct?
I didn't even bother going out because the application was.
I see, you gotta
was
start
incomplete.
all over again with your application. All right? You just gotta start from
I
scratch.
mean, I provided feedback to the engineer as to what was missing and why it was incomplete.
All right.
But all this work needs to be
Wha-
included in
yes,
that, so
absolutely,
that there's
yes.
not two orders over.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay,
So
so-
the
You're gonna roll
reasons that you,
everything
the
together.
reasons you rejected the prior NOI was for incompleteness, not
Incom-
because of, on its merit or anything.
Yeah, it was
Just they didn't have a
simply-
complete file.
Right, and
All
they
right.
didn't file with ZBA yet, you know, the fees weren't there.
So
I
you
mean,
didn't
just-
reject it because they were too close, and when it's, that
No,
would have
it
come
was
to us,
just
we would.
It was incomplete.
It never got
and I
that-
just-
never got that
It
far.
was too grossly incomplete to.
Sounds like they're
accept.
halfway there, just include all this work of that,
Yes.
that additional document.
Right, and that's why we ended up researching to make sure, well, was the patio there? You know, and yes, with the spa.
Okay,
It
so
was signed off, so,
you have everything you need on the CO, all the verbiage for them to
Yes.
follow. All right. Do you guys understand what you're supposed to be doing? Do you understand?
I mean, maybe we can follow up with Amy to make sure that we
Yeah.
have the next steps
Yeah.
all like nailed
So-
down. Also, if helpful, so the house was built in 1987, and there's also on Redfin a lot of like old photos, and that show that the hot tub was there, that show how the deck looked, so that's additional like evidence that we can use, that essentially nothing has been changed to how it looks right now.
right, the as-built plan.
So happy to send that link around.
So the as-built plan from when the house is built has the deck on it. So we would want that same footprint.
Yeah, I think that is the same footprint,
All
so
right,
that's certainly what we
So your
discussed with
engineer
the
will have to
contractor.
just reconfirm what your contractor has done in the recent weeks to make sure it's in line with what used to be there.
Yeah, I do think
Yeah.
that's in line.
But right now, you don't do anything. You do no
Yeah, we
work,
understand that.
no work of any kind. Just
No work.
stabilize the site
Which we have
and
done.
get your application, all your applications filed.
Yes.
Okay.
By the, what did you say, the first meeting, in time for the first meeting?
When do you want the applications filed, Joe?
I think we can probably move swiftly on that because we also
Joe.
would like to.
First meeting in August, you want?
First meeting in August.
First meeting in August, okay. We want all the
So-
paperwork
so we
filed
want-
on or before the first meeting in
Do
August.
we want to open the hearing the first week of August, first meeting in August, or just know that you filed
File,
by
But
the
a
first
complete,
time?
a complete correct
First meeting in August.
application, a complete correct application. Not one
Not in
that's,
time to open up the first, just get it
I want to
onto
measure,
my
I
desk.
want to
by-
measure progress.
Gotcha, all right,
okay.
okay.
Anybody feel moved?
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Alright.
and that's unanimous. You'll
Alright.
get a copy of the document.
Great,
So
thank you.
I'll follow up with an amended enforcement order with all the
Great,
steps.
thanks.
Okay.
That would be
All
appreciated.
right.
All right, thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you for
All right,
coming
thank you,
in.
guys.
Appreciate you showing up. Thank you.
All right, I see one left on the enforcement order list, 68-70 Autran Ave.
Okay, that's gonna be continued
Okay, good.
to June 26th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. It's decision time.
Thanks.
In no particular order, you can decide which ones we,
Well, let's see.
Let's do the airport first.
all right, let's do, okay, airport.
Yeah,
We have a
airport.
spectator.
We have,
Yes.
we have,
Interested
we have
spectator.
we have interest in the airport, okay. I'm looking for my airport decision.
You're already starting to get over it a little bit.
You know, why don't I have one? Or do I have one? Oh, I got one. Wrong pile. So my notes include modifications to conditions 44, 52, and striking completely condition 58. Other than that, I don't have any cliff notes here.
It's 40,
44.
44. That was pretty straightforward.
52 also was pretty straightforward.
It was.
Very surprised.
And that was a healthy discussion. Good thing, it's nice that you sent the draft to them ahead of time, because
Yeah.
that's those little subtleties we wouldn't necessarily pick
Yeah,
up
I
on.
know. I know you guys don't usually like to negotiate, but those types of things are what's in order, but this seemed,
When you have an expert arguing it from the science perspective,
yeah,
it's a lot better than
yep,
wishing on a star, you know?
yep. So, let's see. So I was just going to maybe add either a note in the findings that the current EO shall remain in place until such time that the work on this order of conditions has commenced.
Commenced or completed? I'd rather see it stay until it's
So what-
completed.
I said commence because actually, once they stop the work,
They're
they're
gonna
gonna be working
that-
in that area.
They're gonna be in that stream.
Gonna be in that area.
Gotcha, but
And then the measures, the protective measures that they have on the order of conditions will then become the ones to preserve, not the current ones that are there now.
I mean, I'll defer to you, but I like completing it better. Keep the hook in.
Well, it's not a hook. In this instance, we have a temporary measure that's been a long-term temporary measure, but it's
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
But what they're proposing, the work they're proposing to do when we're debating to issue a condition on is going to remove those protections and put
Yeah.
and put other protections in there, in place of them first,
And then monitor weekly.
and then monitor weekly. So I think
That better?
We don't want to have conflicting documents.
we want it to
Roger.
be when construction commences.
Yep.
Okay, received. And understood.
So that goes after what, condition 37?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, number 32.
Yep.
I don't know. Keep it? Does it make sense?
Can we do that? I don't think we can do that.
Actually, you're restating a provision of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Yeah.
Because once you have established a limited project, actually, it's access to uplands through a wetland.
Yeah, that's really what
The
it's
problem is
talking
this is
about.
such an expansive acreage.
Yeah.
There may be other upland areas with other wetlands involved.
Right,
I'm not sure we can do that. I think you'd have to do each one on the merits of its
Yeah.
own
yep,
I think,
proposal to be a limited project.
yep,
I think you gotta strike that.
Yeah, take it out.
okay. Alright,
What made you put it in? Do
it-
they have
no,
something
it's-
else up their sleeve?
It's actually leftover from the old order.
Okay.
Ah,
So, um, 49 talks about the bond, and I just literally borrowed from the runway 5, but that might be steep, I don't know. I mean, maybe inflation isn't making it steep anymore, I don't know. But it's really,
There's a lot going on here, so I
Yeah.
don't think it's out of the ballpark for
Yeah.
sure.
right.
Is there a percentage that we typically try and make the bond, or is it just kind of project by project basis?
Project to project.
I welcome your ideas because we've wrestled with being specific and phasing.
Yeah.
so we've always tried to make it, if we had to, the standard is if we had to finish the project, like, not that this would happen to the airport, we say,
Yeah.
well, what if the applicant goes belly up tomorrow? And we have to finish that project, is there enough money for us to do it? And that's been the standard that at least I've adhered to, is if we had to hire and buy and do all this stuff, are we gonna have any money? Because we had one project we took over in town that we had no money, so we learned our lesson on that one.
So you just perfectly described a performance bond.
Well,
And we've wrestled with the planning board bond
Yeah.
performance and what we held as surety.
And it should be
for-
cash.
for
I don't
wetland-
want-
For
I-
wetland impacts.
I don't want
We
surety.
wrestled that town meeting acceptance of how that happens.
Yeah.
Because I've always envisioned that our surety is to protect the wetland. If something were to be damaged, what's it gonna take to restore the wetland?
Right.
And not do the work?
Right. I think
Yeah,
that's-
'cause the
Right, right,
work
right.
is,
So our goal is to stabilize the site,
Yep.
protect the site. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, and bear in mind, we're talking about cash, we don't take sureties.
Right. I use surety in the terms of.
Yeah, but I mean, in actual,
Bond.
real surety, we don't, they're not worth the paper they're written on most of the time. So, I don't know, maybe some differing opinions here. 46.8 might be too high. If the standard is to stabilize and protect.
Yeah.
Wanna go-
Well, you want to function, well, let's see. So
If you had
you're
to,
going
if
to have
you
the
had to hire,
diversion.
if you had to hire, what would you be
Height.
paying a crew an hour?
A
Just for,
lot.
just for labor to
A
work in it?
lot.
Yeah, you're talking, you could be talking $1,000 an hour, right?
yeah,
Or more.
yeah.
Marissa says more. So maybe that number's not bad.
Why don't we just go with
50
something
grand.
around 40, 50, something
50
like that. If you want 50, I'm all for 50.
Yeah.
If you want 40,
46.8 sounds scientific.
Yeah, I know. It's-
Yeah, I think it's 50.
Okay.
Sounds like a motion to me. 50 it is.
Okay.
We should probably set a standard, though.
Have you already noted the modifications to those other?
Oh, yeah, I got them down.
What'd you say?
At some point, we should figure out like a or use your,
Right.
like, that's our method, and.
We
that's
probably
what we-
need to get an opinion from somebody that does the work and say, hey, we
Yeah.
wanna fix this right here,
Yeah,
you know, and, well, how much?
So planning boards will typically ask an applicant to give a construction estimate.
Yeah.
So we could ask, we could understand what the vulnerability is for discussion.
We tried it once.
All areas down gradient from the proposed work, if they needed to totally restore that area on a square foot basis for 50 feet out from, you know, some thoughtful area that might be impacted, and then throw a number that makes sense, and have them provide a restoration number, or that we can either verify or agree to.
Do you remember?
Then that becomes a little more scientific and more defendable.
However,
But just to grab every project's so different, you can't
Yeah.
just establish a
I
standard.
know, it's,
Mark West. You remember Mark?
Great guy.
So we
Still
tasked Mark once with doing exactly that.
yeah.
And he came back with two estimates that were differed by $50,000, because one guy, sourcing the plants he was sourcing them from somebody that grows them in their backyard, that is a hobby grower, and then he went to a regular nursery that breeds and raises them, and the difference was unbelievable, the cost. The labor was pretty much within a couple $100 an hour, but the sourcing of the plants was a joke almost. You know, we're all sitting there going, come on. That was how it worked out, so. It just reminded me of him the time he did it. We're all sitting there going, come on, Mark.
So I wanted to add a condition that the quarter logs in the upstream DBW shall be maintained and monitored and maintained. Those weren't it was discussed that they're gonna leave them there, but the commission said, you know, we want them to still be functioning, so.
There's no objection to that, so.
Okay, I'll
No-
put that
no
in
objection.
after construction, or as an ongoing. So, we said 50 for the bond, okay.
Need a motion?
Boy, do I need a motion.
I move that we grant the order of conditions for DEP file 242-1876 as drafted and amended.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Alrighty, let's see. 49 Court.
Let's do it.
I had one more addition that I don't think you guys have.
Have a good
Thanks. That, number 38, I wanted to add, in addition to removing the trampoline and the swing set from the 25, that all the errant foreign debris, plastic piping, loose construction debris, yard equipment, et cetera, shall be removed from the slopes on the property, and any that may have spilled onto the abutting properties. Bond, condition number 40.
Looks good, 2,000.
Yeah, 39 to modify the riprap apron. Just point away from the abutter.
Not too much special about this one.
Oh, I should add your vote, your waiver vote. Okay. All right.
We need a motion, Mr. Chair.
I'd love a motion.
I move that we grant the COC for 242-1884 as drafted and amended.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
All righty.
Identical.
Stevens Street culvert, 242-1886.
You're on the, I'm leaving the room for a minute. Mr. Maben will.
Okay, assume the chair.
So the town has to pay the town 20, it's itself a bond, or do we,
No, we make the contractor post it. Yeah. And I don't know if 20 is enough, so.
Did you
I
say,
just
Brad?
Threw it out there.
You don't want them to clean and line the pipe, you want them to replace the pipe?
I mean,
Lipstick on a pig.
pipe lining, head wall, and slab replacement.
Gotta be, but the permitting
I don't know.
is, could be a pain, but it's, we're shooting ourselves in the foot with that. Much better service.
What do you guys think of the bond?
So this is a town project, they're gonna go up to bid. There will be a surety bond as part of the construction contract.
Yeah.
So this is a wetlands bond itself, I think it's more than ample.
Okay.
20,000, right?
Sure. I mean, where it's located, a lot could go wrong. It's a pretty important resource right there.
Yeah. Any other changes?
Condition number 31 talks about the 25 and 50. I was just gonna add a caveat that says, except where a waiver has been granted allowing work in these zones under this order of conditions. Just to kind
Sounds good. Would anybody like a motion?
We ready?
Sure, I move that we we grant the COC, let me try to get it. Actually, we grant, we
issue?
Adopt.
Issue?
Adopt.
Oh, adopt.
Well, let me try this from the get-go. I move that we grant the order of conditions for DEP 242-1886 as drafted and amended. Sorry about that.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that's unanimous.
Do you want to abstain?
Leave me out of the
I'll
room. Leave me out of the room.
I'll abstain.
I'm back now.
Okay,
Way to go, buddy.
alrighty.
Back in control.
Let's see, we got Chestnut Street.
I don't have that one.
Actually, you had some file number references that I wasn't following during the meeting. Because Chestnut Street on the agenda says 1887, down here it says 1887. On the draft order you've given us says 1887, but there was, was it the packet you gave us referred to a different number?
Possibly. It is 1887.
Where did that go? Where did that go?
It is 1887.
Okay, so
That is
that's
the
fine.
number, yeah.
There was another document I had that had a different number, but as long as it's that number, it's good.
So, condition number 37 for the bond.
That was a little low.
Okay,
But I don't know.
well, there is demo.
Yep.
It's not just like it's a new house, so
Can you
demo and then
Rebuild.
rebuild.
So do you all think 7,000's enough?
I like it.
Okay.
I mean, the site's not that big.
We typically do 3,000 for a house, and this is a duplex, but it's a single building
And a demo.
and a demo, yeah.
Yeah, and I think with inflation, we did talk about upping that per house, just because 3,000 dudes walk away from that. They don't care.
Don't you regret not asking during the hearing? So with the flash flood that catastrophically
Yeah.
damaged the building,
Yeah.
what happened to the wetland during the flash flood? Was there any impacts to that? Yeah, I mean, you did an inspection of the wetland area, there's
I
nothing,
mean,
nothing was obvious,
Yeah.
right?
Justine was out there. She didn't report anything.
So if a flash
I
flood
don't
didn't
know.
do any damage, 7,000 seems to be plenty of money.
Gordon did his job. Stored water.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Did we add anything about no traffic, no construction traffic within the
Oh,
rain garden or
We
infiltration
can definitely
areas?
do that.
I would love to add that in on any future project that has an infiltration basin component.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'll
like
do
when they
that
have the
during construction.
Snow fence around them.
Yeah. I mean, the handbook straight up says, don't
Yeah.
touch this area until
Yeah.
construction is complete,
All right, I'll add that.
even though nobody follows that. I'll get on my soapbox every time.
Mr. Chair, are you ready for a motion?
I am ready to receive any motion you have.
All right, I'll try to do a little bit better than my last one. I move that we grant the order of conditions for DEP file number 242-1887 as drafted and amended.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
All right, and then just the ORAD for Willow findings.
This-
The last
This is a
one.
real easy one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I move that we
Okay.
grant the ORAD for DEP file number 242-1892 as drafted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is
I move that
unanimous.
we adjourn.
Okay.
Motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. We're adjourned.